Hello, welcome to Bloom with Bio. Have you ever wondered how a small tiny seed grows into a massive tree? Or how some plants have flowers and some do not have? Plants are the backbone of our earth. Plants provide us oxygen, food, shelter, and even medicines. Do you know that plants are not just flowers or trees? From microscopic algae to large, massive trees, plant kingdom is incredibly diverse. In this lecture, we'll discuss each group in detail, understand their life cycle, and we'll see how these plants evolved over time. So let's begin our journey through plant kingdom. In the previous chapter, we have learned that R.H. Whittaker classified organisms into 5 kingdoms. Those 5 kingdoms were Kingdom Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. This classification was based on certain characters like cell structure, thallus organization, mode of nutrition, reproduction, and phylogenetic relationships. So in that 5 kingdom, we are going to learn Kingdom Plantae here. Before that, we are going to see certain systems of classification. The first system of classification is artificial system of classification. This system of classification is based on certain morphological characters. Theophrastus, Pliny, and Linnaeus used this artificial system of classification. Next is the natural system of classification. This classification system is based on all the important characteristics, that is both external as well as internal. Bentham and Hooker, Adamson and Candolle used all the natural system of classifications. Next system is the phylogenetic system of classification, and this is based on the evolutionary relationship of plants. Next is numerical taxonomy, and it is based on statistical methods using computers. Next is cytotaxonomy. Cyto means cell. So this is related to cell. The taxonomy which is based on the structure of cell like chromosome number or shape or behavior, etc. Now let us see the characteristics of plant kingdom. They are motile. So plants are motile, they cannot move. They are also called as autotrophs because they prepare their own food. Then they can produce asexually through vegetative propagation and they reproduce sexually also. Organisms in plant kingdom are multicellular as well as they are eukaryotic. All the plant cells contain an outer cell wall and an inner large centrally placed vacuoles. These plants are green in color because of the presence of a pigment called chlorophyll, and this chlorophyll is present in a chloroplast. Organisms in the plant kingdom have different cell organelles for reproduction, support, anchorage and photosynthetic purposes. So how can we define plant kingdom? Plant kingdom is defined as a multicellular eukaryotic living organisms where the cell contain chlorophyll imparting green color to the plants. Now we can broadly divide plants into 2 major categories. One is cryptogamy and the other one is phanerogamy. Cryptogamy is the plants which do not produce seeds or they do not have a seeds, and phanerogames are the plants which can produce seeds. Now moving on to a flowchart. In this flowchart, what we are going to do is we are going to broadly divide plants into different divisions. Division Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Gymnosperms and Angiosperms. So on what basis this classification is done, we are going to see now. So first we are taking all the plants together and all these plants were divided into 2 based upon one character, that is whether they are having a proper body structure or a thallus. Okay, so based whether they are having a proper thallus or not, organisms were divided into 2. The plants which do not have a well differentiated plant body were grouped under the division Thallophyta, and all the plants which do have a cell body were again classified into 2 based upon whether they have a proper vascular system or not. What is vascular system? Vascular system are nothing but xylem and phloem which helps in transportation in plants. Okay, so all the plants which have a differentiated body structure but which do not have a vascular system were classified under division Bryophyta, and again the plants which have a differentiated plant body and which have a vascular system was again divided into 2 based upon whether they produce seeds or not. So the plants which have a vascular system and which do not produce seeds were classified under division Pteridophyta, and all the plants which have a differentiated plant body, have vascular system and produce seeds were again divided into 2 based upon whether they produce a naked seed or covered seed which is covered inside a fruit. So plants with a differentiated plant body with a vascular system which produce naked seeds were classified under division Gymnosperms, and plants which have a differentiated plant body which have a vascular system which produce seeds inside fruits were classified under division Angiosperms. Now these angiosperms were again divided into two based upon whether they have a single cotyledon or they have two cotyledons. Now we are going to see different divisions in the plant kingdom. Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Gymnosperm and Angiosperm. The first one is Thallophytes. They are commonly called as algae. So there are three types: red algae, green algae and brown algae. So Chlorophyceae is green algae, Phaeophyceae is brown algae and Rhodophyceae is red algae. The second division is Bryophyta. It includes two groups, that is liverworts and mosses. Next is Pteridophyta. Pteridophytes are broadly classified into four classes, that is Coelopsida, Lycopsida, Spinopsida and Pteropsida. Gymnosperms are also classified into different groups, that is Cycadales, Coniferales, Ginkgoales and Gentiles. Coming to Angiosperms, Angiosperms are divided into dicots and monocots. So we are going to see in detail about all these divisions and their classes. Now let us move on to algae. Algae are included under division Thallophyta, or the organisms included under Thallophytes are called as algae. So they are having an undifferentiated plant body called as thallus, and they are autotrophic and they have chlorophyll. This chlorophyll makes them autotrophic and also give green color to them. They are aquatic and they can be found in both fresh water as well as marine water. Now they occur on moist stone, soil and wood. Some of these algae are found in association with fungi called as lichens and also with other animals like the sloth bear. Coming to the study of algae, the branch of science that deals with the study of algae is called as phycology. Here we can split this term and we can understand the meaning. Phycos means seaweed. It is seaweed, green color, which is found in sea, that is seaweed, and logos means study. So the study of seaweeds is called as phycology, and that is a study of algae. The forms and size of algae are highly variable. Like you can see, unicellular motile algae are there, example Chlamydomonas. Then unicellular non-motile algae are there, example Chlorella. Then you have colonial forms, that is Volvox. Then filamentous unbranched forms are there, that is Eulothrix and Spirogyra. Filamentous branched are there, that is Cladophora. And marine and massive plant bodies are there called as kelps, which can be large up to 100 meters. Now moving on to the reproduction in algae. So the algae reproduce vegetatively by fragmentation. That is, this fragment develops into different thallus. Okay. Then asexual reproduction is by production of spores. Like zoospores, that is the most common type of spores produced. Then flagellated spores are there. And these spores germination gives rise to the new plants. So next is sexual reproduction. And here sexual reproduction occurs by the fusion of two gametes. Different types of gametes are there, that is isogamous, anisogamous and oogamous. What is isogamous? Iso means same. So it will be similar type of gametes, like it can be two small non-motile, two large non-motile, two small motiles or two large motiles. So it can be like this. Now anisogamous, aniso, it is different, right? So it will be diffusion of two different gametes, that is one small and a large one. Okay. Now coming to oogametes. What are oogametes? Oogametes are one large non-motile female gamete will be there and one small motile male gamete will be there. Like we know that in humans the male gametes are, that is sperms, are motile and small, and females it is large and non-motile. The same way, oogamous, in plants also oogamous is the fusion of one large non-motile male gamete, female gamete, and a small motile male gamete. So the example of isogamous, is the filamented one is Eulothrix, and in the non-filamented one it is Spirogyra. And coming to anisogamous, example is Eudorina, and oogamous, example is Volvox and Fucus. Now let us move on to the benefits of algae. Algae are photosynthetic in nature. Since they are photosynthetic in nature, they help in fixing half the amount of total carbon dioxide on earth. How do they do that? During photosynthesis, they will be utilizing carbon dioxide. and they will liberate out oxygen, and thus it helps in increasing the dissolved oxygen level in water bodies. They are the primary producers in the aquatic food chain, and many algae can be used as food like Porphyra, Laminaria and Sargassum. Agar is a substance which is obtained from Gelidium and Garcilaria. It is used to grow microorganisms and also used in ice creams and jellies. Some marine algae like brown and red algae produce hydrocolloids, and these hydrocolloids are nothing but water holding substances. So since they are water holding substances, they have a lot of commercial uses, like they are used for transporting living substances. Protein-rich unicellular algae like Chlorella and Spirulina are used as food supplements by the space travelers. Now coming to different types of algae present. Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae and Rhodophyceae are different types of algae present. Chlorophyceae is the green color algae, Phaeophyceae is the brown color algae and Rhodophyceae is the red color algae. Now let us move on to Chlorophyceae, or they are called as green algae. So their unicellular, colonial or filamentous forms are present. They are usually green in color due to the presence of pigments like chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B in their chloroplast. So Chlorophyceae contains chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. So the chloroplast can be discoid, plate-like, reticulate, cup-shaped, spiral or ribbon-shaped in different species. So many of them have one or more pyrenoids, and these pyrenoids are nothing but the storage bodies, and it is located in the chloroplast. Some algae store food in the form of oil droplets, and they have a cell wall or a rigid cell wall is there, which is having an inner layer which is made up of cellulose and outer layer that is made up of pectose. So cell wall of algae, that is Chlorophyceae, is made up of pectose and cellulose. Now examples are Chlamydomonas, Volvox, Eulothrix, Spirogera and Cara. So examples are very important. You have to obviously by heart the examples in each and every group in plant kingdom as well as in the next chapter animal kingdom. Examples are very important. Now moving on to the reproduction in Chlorophyceae. Vegetatively they reproduce by fragmentation. Asexual reproduction is by flagellated zoospores. It is very important. Asexual reproduction is done by flagellated zoospores. And sexual reproduction by isogamy, anisogamy and oogamy. Now let us move on to the next type of algae, that is brown algae called as Phaeophyceae. So they are mostly marine in their forms. Okay, so they vary in size from very small ectocarpus to very big kelp, which is like up to 100 meters long. Now they contain pigments like chlorophyll A, C, carotenoids and xanthophylls. So they vary in different color, that is from olive green to brown color depending upon the presence of the pigment, that is xanthophyll pigment or fucoxanthin. Based on the type of pigment present in their body, their color varies from olive green to brown. Food is stored as a complex carbohydrate like laminarin or mannitol. The vegetative cells have a cellulosic cell wall which is having a gelatinous outer covering called as algin. The protoplasm contains plastids, central vacuole and a nucleus. And this plant body is attached to a substratum, and that is attached with the help of a holdfast, and this has a stalk called a stipe and a leaf-like photosynthetic structure called a frond. So you can see the diagram here. So this is the whole stalk, that is this is the holdfast, then you have the stipe, then the leaf-like structure called as frond is present. The Phaeophyceae vegetatively reproduce by fragmentation, and in asexual reproduction pear-shaped biflagellate zoospores are present, and these zoospores have two flagellum which are laterally attached. So this pear-shaped biflagellate gametes are also called as pyriforms. Now coming to sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction occurs by isogamy, anisogamy and oogamy. So the fusion of gametes occurs in water or in the oogonium. Okay, the gametes are pear-shaped. Now moving on to the next type of algae, that is Rhodophyceae, which are the red algae. They contain red color pigment called R-phycoerythrin. They have a red color pigment called R-phycoerythrin, and they are mainly marine, especially in the warmer areas. Mainly in the warmer areas, they are found mostly in the marine region, and they contain red color pigment called R-phycoerythrin. These Rhodophyceae occurs both in well-lighted region close to the water surface and also in great depth in where little light penetrates. So the red color thallus of most of the red algae is multi multicellular. They are mostly multicellular algae, and some of them have very complex body organization also. Food in red algae is stored in the form of fluoridine starch, and this fluoridine starch is very much similar to that of amylopectin and glycogen. Examples are Polysiphonia, Porphyra, Garcilaria and Gelidium. Vegetative reproduction in Rhodophyceae is done by fragmentation, and asexual reproduction by non-motile spores, sexual reproduction by oogamous, that is their non-motile gametes are present. Now let us have a comparison between the three types of algae, Chlorophyceae, Phaeophyceae and Rhodophyceae. Coming to that, Chlorophyceae, the common name is green algae, and in Phaeophyceae common name is brown algae, Rhodophyceae common name is red algae. Coming to the major pigments present in the algae, Chlorophyceae has chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. Phaeophyceae has chlorophyll A and chlorophyll C along with the fucoxanthin. Now, Rhodophyceae has chlorophyll A and chlorophyll D and also phycoerythrin is present. Now, the form of storage of food. Food is stored in the form of starch in Chlorophyceae, mannitol and laminarin in the Phaeophyceae and fluoridine starch in Rhodophyceae. The cellular composition of Chlorophyceae is made up of cellulose, and Phaeophyceae is made up of cellulose and a gelatinous sheath called algin. And Rhodophyceae has cell wall which is made up of cellulose, pectin and polysulfate esters. In Chlorophyceae, 2 to 8 equal apical flagellae are present. So there are 2 to 8 apical equal flagellae are present. Now coming to Phaeophyceae, the flagellae are unequal. 2 flagellae are there and they are found laterally. Okay. Now in Rhodophyceae, the flagellae are absent also. Now, the habitat where these organisms are present, Chlorophyceae mainly present in freshwater, brackish water and salty water. Coming to Phaeophyceae, they are very much rare found in freshwater, but they are more found in brackish water and salt water. Rhodophyceae, some are found in freshwater and majority are found in brackish water and salt water. The next division of plant kingdom is Bryophytes or Bryophyta. They are non-vascular. They do not have a vascular system or they do not have xylem or phloem. So they are mostly of two types, that is liverworts and mosses, and they are mostly found in shady regions or moist regions. And these Bryophytes are called as amphibians of plant kingdoms as they require water to complete their life cycle. That is, for the sexual reproduction they require water. Now let us see characteristics of Bryophytes. So they live in mostly damp and shady habitat, and they are found more to grow during rainy season on different like rocks, walls, soil, etc. And their major or dominant phase of plant body is free living gametophyte. So their major body is or major plant body is free living gametophyte, and they do not have roots. Even though they are having a differentiated plant body, they do not have a roots. They contain certain structures called rhizoids. Vegetative reproduction in Bryophytes is by fragmentation, tubers, gametes, buds, etc. The sex organs are multinucleated and they are jacketed. So the male sex organ is called as antheridium and they produce biflagellated anthrozoids. This is very important. And female sex organs are called as archegonium, and this archegonium is a flask-shaped structure and this produces a single cell. So the sporophyte is dependent on gametophyte for its survival. Now moving on to the fertilization and development of Bryophytes. The anthrozoids are released into the water bodies where they come towards the archegonium, and inside which the eggs are present and the fusion will occur to produce zygote. The zygotes do not immediately undergo reduction division. What they will do? They will produce a multicellular body called as sporophyte. So these sporophytes are not free living structures. They are not free living structures. They are attached to a gametophyte and they derive nutrition from them. That is why I told you the sporophytes are dependent on their gametophytes, and that is for the nutrients. Now understood how the sporophytes are dependent on gametophytes. So the sporophytes acts as a parasite on the gametophyte for their nourishment. So some cells in sporophytes will undergo reduction division, that is meiosis, to produce haploid spores, and these spores germinate to produce the gametophytes. So the spores will germinate to produce the gametophytes. Now moving on to the economic importance of Bryophytes. Some mosses provide food for animals as well as birds. Species of sphagnum provide peat which is used as a fuel. And now because of their water holding capacity, they are used as a packaging material for transshipment of living materials. Mosses along with the lichens are the first organisms to colonize on rocks. They help in breaking down of these rocks and helps in soil formation. And also these mosses form dense sheath on the soil and prevent soil erosion. Liverwort is a type of bryophytes. Their plant body is thalloid and this thalloid is dorsoventral and closely appressed to the substrate. So it is dorsoventral and it is closely upstraight to the substrate. The leafy members of these liverworts have leaf-like appendages on two rows on the stem-like structure. So the asexual reproduction is by fragmentation of this thalli and also by gamete formations. Now what are gametes? Gametes are green multicellular asexual buds which are developed in small receptacles called as gamete cups, which these gamete cups are located in the thallus or thalli. The gametes become detached from the parent body and they germinate into a new individual. Coming on to the sexual reproduction. Male and female sex organs are produced either on the same or different thalli. The sporophytes are having capsules. After the meiosis, spores are produced inside the capsule and they are dispersed with the help of elaters. These spores germinate to form free-living gametophytes. So the spores will become gametophytes. Now examples are Rixia and Mercantia. Mosses are another type of bryophytes. Their prominent life cycle stage is gametophyte and this stage contains two stages. One is protonema stage and the other one is leafy stage. So in the protonema stage what happens? This develops directly into spores and this is a creepy, green, branched, frequently filamentous structure. Now coming on to the second stage, that is the leafy stage, and which develops from the secondary protonema stage. This develops from the secondary protonema stage and it forms a lateral bud. It has an upright structure and spirally arranged leaves are present. And these are attached to soil by multicellular branched rhizoids and this stage bears the sex organ. So which stage of mosses have sex organs present? That is the leafy stage. Vegetative reproduction in mosses occurs by fragmentation and also by budding in the secondary protonema. Sexual reproduction by sex organs, that is antheridia and archegonia, which are produced in the apex of the leaf shoots. So these antheridium and archegonium are produced on the apex of the shoot. After fertilization, what will happen? The zygote develop into a sporophyte. So this sporophyte consists of food, seta and a capsule. So it consists of three parts, that is food, seta and a capsule. And this capsule is the place where spores will be formed after meiosis. So the spores are formed after meiosis inside this capsules. These mosses have teeth-like structure and an elaborate mechanism for their seed dispersal. Now you can see the examples, that is funaria and sphagnum. This is the funaria and you can see the structure here. You can see the rhizoids are present, which is on, then after that main axis is there, that seta is there, capsule is there. The next division in plant kingdom is Pteridophyta. This Pteridophyta includes host, tail and ferns. So ferns are mainly included under the Pteridophyta division. Okay, so they are terrestrial plants and they are the first vascular plants which contain xylem and phloem. So they are the first vascular plants or the first vascular group in the plant kingdom which contains xylem and phloem. The pteridophytes are mainly found in cool, damp and shady places, but some of them will nourish well in the sandy soil conditions also. Now let us see the structure or the plant body of pteridophyte. So the main plant body is a sporophyte plant body and it is differentiated into true root, shoot and leaves. So now comes to the, till now in bryophytes we had only rhizoids, roots were not there, true roots were not there. So first true root system came in pteridophytes, because if root system is present only xylem and phloem will be present, right, for transport of water. So the proper root, shoot and leaf structures are found in pteridophytes. So the proper division of plants into or division of plant body into root, shoot and leaves occurs in Pteridophyta. These organs possess well differentiated vascular system, and this vascular system is nothing but the xylem and phloem. Xylem helps in the transport of water and phloem helps in the transport of food and minerals. Now the leaves are very small, that is microphyllous. Small leaves are present. Example, Selaginella. Some are having large leaves, that is macrophyllous, like ferns. The sporophytes bear sporangia and that are subtended by leaf-like appendages called as sporophylls. In some cases, the sporophylls form distinct compact structure called as strobili or cone, like in Selaginella and Equisetum. Now let us move on to the life cycle of Pteridophytes. Sporangia produces spore by meiosis in the spore mother cell. The spores will germinate to give rise to a prothallus, and this prothallus is small but it is multicellular, free-living, photosynthetic and thalloid gametophyte. These gametophytes require cool, damp, shady places to grow because they require water for their fertilization. And the growth of the pteridophytes are restricted to very small geographical area because of their specific restricted requirements. Now moving on to the sexual reproduction. Gametophytes bear both male and female sex organs, that is antheridium and archegonium. Water is required for the transfer of anthrozoids towards the archegonium. And the egg present in the archegonium will fuse with the antheridium and it leads to the production of zygote. After zygote formation, it produces a multicellular well-differentiated sporophyte. This sporophyte is the dominant phase of pteridophyte. There are two types of sporophytes in pteridophytes. One is homosporous and the other one is heterosporous. Homosporous, homo means same. So all the spores are of same kind. Example, in majority of pteridophytes, it is like all the spores are of same kind. In heterospore, two types of spores are produced. One small male microspore and a large female megaspore. Example, in Selaginella, megaspore and microspores are present which germinates and give rise to female and male gametophyte respectively. So the megaspore will give rise to female gametophyte and the microspore will give rise to the male gametophyte. Now coming on to the economic importance of pteridophytes. These pteridophytes are used for medicinal purposes and also as soil binders. They are also used as ornamental plants. And these pteridophytes are further classified into four classes. One is Coelopsida, Lycopsida, Synopsida and Pteropsida. In Coelopsida, it is Coelotum is the example. In Lycopsida, Selaginella and Lycopodium is the example. In Spinopsida, Equisetum is the example. In Pteropsida, Dryopteris, Pteris and Adenatum are the examples. Now these are the examples of Pteridophyta: ferns, Equisetum, Selaginella and Azolla fern. Now moving on to the next division in plant kingdom, that is the Gymnosperms. These Gymnosperms are the first group of plants which produces seeds. So they are seed bearing plants. They are seed bearing plants but they produce naked seeds which are not enclosed in a fruit. So why are they producing seeds without fruit? That is, their ovules are not covered by any ovaries. So what happens there is, after fertilization the seed will be exposed. The seeds that develop post fertilization will not be covered by any fruits. Now coming to the plant body structure of Gymnosperms. Gymnosperms plant body varies from herbs, shrubs and trees. So from small herbs to large trees it is present. Like the giant redwood tree is present, they are one of the largest plant species present on earth. Now coming to the root system. The root system is mainly taproot system. A primary large root system will be there from where branches of roots will be arising. Roots in Pinus have fungal association. And in Cycas, small specialized roots called coloroid roots are associated with nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria. So they help in atmospheric nitrogen fixation and also this fungal association are also present in the Pinus. Stems in Gymnosperms can be both branched and unbranched. Unbranched example Cycas and branched example Pinus and Cedrus. Leaves may be simple or compound. In Cycas, what happens? The pinnate leaves persist for a few years. The leaves in Gymnosperms are well adapted to withstand extreme temperature, humidity and wind. In conifers, needle-like leaves which reduce the surface area and prevent the loss of water. And thick cuticle and sunken stomata are also present in like xerophytic plants so that it will prevent the loss of excess water from these plants. Development of spores and gametophytes in Gymnosperms. Gymnosperms produces haploid microspores as well as megaspores. These spores are produced in the sporangium and that sporangiums are borne on a sporophyll. These are arranged along the axis to form lacs or they are found in complex like strobili or cones. The strobili which bears microsporophylls are called as male strobili. The microspores develops into a male gametophytic generation, and this gametophytic generation is reduced and is limited to very little number of cells or very limited number of cells. These reduced male gametophyte is called as a pollen grain. So what are pollen grains? The reduced male gametophytes are the pollen grains. The cones bearing megasporophylls with ovules or megasporangia is called as megasporogenate, or this megasporogenate is also called as the female strobili. The megaspore mother cell is differentiated from one of the nucellus. This nucellus is protected by envelopes and the composite structures called as ovule. So the megaspore mother cell divides meiotically to produce megaspores. One of the megaspore which is enclosed within the megasporangium will develop into a multicellular female gametophyte, and this bears 2 or more archegonia or the female sex organs. The multicellular female gametophyte is also retained within the megasporangium. The male and female cones or strobili can be formed on same tree, that is they can be bisexual or monoecious like in Pinus, or on different trees, that is they are unisexual or dioecious like in Cycas. So in Gymnosperms, the male and female gametophyte do not have an independent free living existence. So they remain within the sporangia retained in the sporophyte. Now these are the examples of Gymnosperms, that is Cycas, Pinus, Ginkgo. Now let us see how pollination and fertilization occurs in Gymnosperms. Pollination occurs by air. So what happens after the pollination is done? The pollen grains will reach the archegonia. So once it reaches the opening of archegonia, what will happen? The pollen grains will germinate and produce pollen tubes, and these pollen tubes will grow towards the archegonia in the ovule, and they will transfer the male gametes into the archegonia. And following the fertilization, zygote will be formed and the embryo will be developing into a seed, and the seeds will not be covered with any fruit, so they will be naked. Now coming on to the last division in the plant kingdom, that is Angiosperms. Angiosperms are the largest group of plants present, and they are the flowering plants. These Angiosperms will be producing seeds which are enclosed inside the fruit. So in Angiosperms, pollen grains and ovules are developed in specialized structures called as flowers. That is why we call them a flowering plant. In Angiosperms, seeds are enclosed by fruits. Angiosperms are present in wide range of habitat. The smallest angiosperm is Wolffia, and the largest or the tallest angiosperm is Eucalyptus. They provide us with food, fodder, shelter, medicines, and several other economically important substances. They are divided into two different classes, that is monocotyledonous and dicotyledonous, based on the number of cotyledons present. They are dicotyledonous if 2 dicotyledons are present, and they are monocotyledons if only 1 cotyledon is present. We have explored the incredible diversity of plant kingdom, from the smallest algae to the complex angiosperms. We understood classification, characterization, and adaptation of plants. If this lecture helped you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with more lessons. If you have any questions, drop a question in the comment box. I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.